Hi, everybody. Welcome to another episode of the Successful Women's TV show. My name is Galit Ventura Rosen. I am co-founder of Everyday Women TV. My one of the things I love more than anything is probably spotlighting women from all over the world that are doing amazing things so they can come to this show and share with you ways that you yourself can implement the things that they are experts in every day. So I am excited today to have with me Jen Cochrane. Welcome.
Hi, thanks so much for having me. It's good to be here.
Thank you so much for being here. And I'm going to share a little bit about Jen, and then we're going to jump right into her topic, which is optimizing performance in the workplace. So Jen Cochrane, co-founder and chief executive officer at Gifted Travel Network, has one of the most unique backgrounds, can't wait to jump into that, of any executive of a modern travel agency. As an executive with the Federal Reserve, she was a startup and turnaround specialist tasked with tackling some of the Fed's most complex business challenges. I'm sure that could be a whole interview all by itself.
Yeah, a lot of very interesting things.
I am positive in her current role at Gifted Travel Network, Jen has steered the company through startup and growth phases with a vision for creating a unique business in a mature industry. Her work has led to Gifted Travel Network being recognized throughout the industry for its innovative approach to supporting and educating successful travel entrepreneurs. I'm going to want you to jump in and share a little bit about that as well today, because I want to know what that is. I'm not familiar with the company except for what I found about you. Yeah. So Jen, let's start with how you love talking about optimizing performance in the workplace and why that's something that you're passionate about.
I think it's truly the key to any successful business is building a really high performing team. And so, obviously, like as the CEO of our company, that's one of the things that's under my purview, right? Is making sure that all the functions are operating smoothly and all the people and all the functions are working well together. You need a very strong complement of people. You need, because if the marketing team isn't bringing people in, then you don't have any business. But if they bring them in and then all the people are delivering all of our membership benefits aren't doing outstanding service delivery, then we're not going to keep the people, and if you don't have finance, making sure that we've got all the, the assets and the funding and everything in order to make, it all needs to work together, right? So you need a very collaborative kind of a, organization and people who are engaged and feeling, empowered and autonomous and everything in the workplace. And it's true no matter what you do, right? So it's one of the things that I really honed actually when I was at the Federal Reserve, because I used to go in, to whatever like the problem was or the new thing was or the crisis was, and I'd sort of figure out the strategy, get the right team in place, get it up and running, and then, move on to the next thing. And I'm really passionate about that because I love to see people grow, which is why we do that for travel agencies too. It's very related, right? But within our own organization, we try really hard to think about what each individual person brings and sort of what their brilliance is, and have them working more in their brilliance, more in the things that feed their energy, that they're uniquely adept at, and less in the things that drain them. We all have to do many things, but the more we can have people in roles that are really well aligned with them, the more they're going to thrive in those roles. So that's a lot about what we focus on.
Completely agree. I love everything that you said. I know that when we start out, sometimes a lot of our listeners and watchers are entrepreneurs, and when they start their own businesses, they try their hardest to wear every hat. And it's pretty common, right? We don't come out of the gate, most of us women, with $1 million to build this beautiful company, right. $500,000 or even less. So you're trying to wear all the different hats. I did that when I started my first business commercial.
We all do.
Yeah. And then you find that you get to a point where you can only do so much every day, I say, and you also have to sleep. So now it's time to start building a team. So now let's talk to that for a minute. Those women that are listening and they're really ready to go from that solopreneur to let's build a team so I can focus more on the things that I do best, where I can maximize my expertise and profits. What are some of the things what is maybe the first thing that we want to give them to be able to optimize performance in the workplace once they start building that team?
I mean, I think one of the very first things to get off their plate is if they're doing any sort of bookkeeping or finance or tracking their expenses or anything like that, even if that's their background, because a lot of people aren't good at that and don't like it, but there are people who are amazing at it and like it, but they still shouldn't be doing it if they're the business owner. I mean,
Agreed.
obviously you need to know the information to make business decisions, but the actual like posting all the expenses and putting together the financial statements and stuff is a support function. And the business owner needs to be focused on the things that are growing the business and setting the strategy for the business and, the bigger picture business development stuff. So that is what I usually tell people is the first thing.
And that's kind of a little bit of an easier place for most women to start, because even though if you love doing numbers, but that's not what your business is,
right?
It's a little bit easier to give up control of something maybe like that first than marketing or HR or hiring or whatever. So I love that you started with that. I did not know that you were going to start with that. I never thought of it that way. So I can completely wrap my head around that, because I myself delegated that out first to a company. And it was one of the best things I did. And people would be surprised. It's not that expensive when you go to a company that this is all they do is take different people and do the books for them. Yeah. What else?
And it feels like it's not a lot, but it all adds up. And it's not just the time that it takes, it's the focus. If you have to switch gears from whatever you're doing that you're thinking about or working with your clients to like go get in the nitty gritty with your spreadsheets and everything, it takes focus away. So so I would say that that's the first thing. And then I think to some extent, it depends a little bit on the business. One of the things that we tell our travel advisors who have their own travel agencies is they often are the ones who want to be the face to the client, and they're putting together their experiences for the client and everything. But after that, there's a whole lot to be done in the client care process. And so I feel like that's another place is once the business is coming in, all the service delivery is a really good place to, I think, hire somebody to do that. People sometimes, and this is a mistake that I see, two mistakes that I see a lot. One is people have a friend who's kind of like, oh, what are you doing? It'd be fun to work with you. And then they bring their friend in so that their friend can help them, but they haven't actually really thought through what they need for the business. And so they end up matching sort of the job to the person instead of the other way around. And it doesn't end up being as helpful to them as it could be. So whatever that process is, if you kind of walk through your whole business flow and then you can define a job description around the service delivery, and then you put that out there, and it doesn't have to be a full-time job, but I think it should be that you hire somebody to do it, actually hire somebody to do that because of the control that you want to have over it. I think that that's the next big, really important hire, because that really increases your capacity. I mean, what happens is, when we grow our businesses, with startup, we can kind of do all the things. And then we get to the point where we've hit this capacity threshold. And the only way to grow is to add additional capacity.
Correct.
And people get scared about hiring because, with the bookkeeping, you can outsource to a service that does it for lots of small businesses. But when it comes to like your client care or your service delivery, you want to have better control over that, and people in that. But it's scary to hire somebody. And so what a lot of people do is they first go sort of the virtual assistant route, and they get somebody who oftentimes isn't local, who can do some things for them. That can work for some things. I find it's more efficient if you can actually sit down with somebody to get somebody up and running. But what I think is important is either you're actually hiring a service that has that expertise that can provide some of that you're outsourcing some things to, or you hire and you don't just pay somebody on a 1099 basis. And the reason is because of all the labor laws and everything. If you want to have that sort of control over your business, and you really do for that, if they're working on delivering your main service, I mean, that's your bread and butter, right? They should be an employee. It doesn't have to be full time, but it should be an employee. And again, it seems really scary, but it's not that much more expensive to actually pay somebody as an employee. And there are services that do it. You don't have to know how to do payroll. You don't know how to do withholding. You don't need to know any of that stuff. You just get a payroll company to do it.
Agreed. So when we're talking about optimizing performance in the workplace, aside from hiring or growing the team or scaling, I'm sure you have experience and some ideas for those listening and watching about how they themselves can optimize their performance in the workplace. I would love to hear a
Yeah.
little bit about that.
I think it's really important to recognize what your highest and best use actually is.
Yes.
And try to stay focused on that, and then complement yourself with people who are different from who you are.
Love that.
And sometimes we think that we're doing it, but we're not doing that as effectively as we think that we might, because human nature is that you can relate better to people who are more exactly like you are, who are more wired the way you are. So we end up hiring people who are like us, which does help expand our capacity, but doesn't actually help us totally expand our competencies, right? Because we're just adding more of the same competencies.
Yeah.
So we actually use a tool in our company, which we have an executive coach who administers for us, but it's called Predictive Index, and we use it in the hiring process, and then we also use it in helping our employees understand how we all work together. And essentially what it is, it's an assessment tool that assesses on several different parameters, sort of what people's work styles and preferences are and stuff. And so when we go to write a job description, because we're looking for a new client care manager, whatever it is, we write that up, and that gets sort of scored on this predictive index. And then we match the candidates to that to see how well suited they are to that actual job.
Okay.
Because otherwise we end up hiring. So when we, our first, 10 employees or so, we found when we were going through this exercise that all of us were sort of in the same quadrant. And none of us were in the process.
Oh my gosh.
So
you weren't really filling gaps.
We weren't hiring enough people who were exactly opposite from us, which is exactly what we needed.
Yeah. It's so interesting because I could see people doing that and not even be conscious of it.
Yeah. We had no idea.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. I love that you brought that up. My business partner for Everyday Woman, even though we've been friends way longer than we've owned a business, we are so different. And the things that she's good at and the things that I'm good at, we literally take projects and run it from beginning to end ourselves, because this is a project that I'm good at and this is a project that you're good at. And I would never want to do the things that she's doing. She's brilliant at sales and she's brilliant at tech. It's just not my thing.
Right. Yeah.
And so I found, I'm better at hand holding. And some of the women, we've had like 200 women in our books, and they like to be handheld and they want me to read their chapters and they want to jump on a call with me. So we found what we're good at. And that's why we're able to do double the work all the time. And then whatever we shouldn't be doing, and I use the word shouldn't.
Right.
Just like you said, Jen, shouldn't, best use of your time. That's where we have the team.
That makes total sense. And we're very similar. There's 3 of us that co-founded the business together, and we are exactly complementary in our skill sets. But we're also entrepreneurial. And so that's where we were not recognizing our need for process people as much as we needed to, and also you don't recognize that because you're building the plane as you fly it.
Yes.
And you get to a certain size and it's like you need policies and procedures and systems and all of that stuff.
How long have you had the business?
This is our 11th year.
Wow. Okay. So you have tons of experience. Well, I would love for us to spend our last few minutes where you tell me more about Gifted Travel Network, because I'm not familiar with it. And I want those that are listening and watching to learn a little bit more about it.
So what we are is we're called a host agency, a travel host agency. So we're a B2B business. We're not a consumer facing business. Our clients are people who have their own individual travel agencies under their own brands. And so most of them are solopreneurs or small teams. Some of them have teams up to like 8 to 10 people, but they're smaller agencies. And one of the things that we're really passionate about, so our mission is actually empowering success through travel entrepreneurship. So we teach people who might be coming from other industries or what have you to build successful travel businesses from startups. So we teach them their messaging, their branding, like all the things that you need to know to start a business, as well as how to actually do the travel business. Beautiful. And then as they grow their businesses all along the spectrum from, the brand new to people who are very well established, highly successful travel advisors, we have coaching and education programs. So if they're new, they start with our new to the industry training program, which is called the Travel MBA program.
Okay.
And then for people who are more in like the growth phase, building their business, we have something that's called the Accelerator program. And then we have a Top Producers Club, which is a mastermind program for, our well-established, highly successful advisors. And so it's amazing because it's a really collaborative community. Nobody feels like competitors. Everybody shares best practices. They'll give each other documents they've done, like all kinds of things.
You're speaking my language, Jen.
Yeah, I love it. It's really uplifting. And we just did actually a mastermind meeting in Austin a couple of weeks ago with our top producers, and just to, the conversations that were had and the connections that were made, it's really magic. So
it makes it so much more fun, doesn't it?
Yeah, it really
when you have
does.
people that show up that want to support each other and empower each other and help each other, and that they don't act like they're in competition with each other. It's actually possible to be successful that way, isn't it?
Yeah, it's amazing. And then, of course, we make sure they have all the right resources. So we belong to Virtuoso, which is the premier luxury travel consortium. We have all the hotel elite programs, and we have all the best amenities that they need for their clients and everything. That's important too. So we run the back office. We support them in terms of what they need to do the business, but we're also really helping them be successful business owners. And that's
You're
where
not just giving them the learning tools and the support, you're also giving them the resources and connections that would be more challenging to possibly get on your own when you're just starting out, when you already have a network and have been around for 11 years.
Right. Yeah, it's pretty much impossible
there you go.
to get those unless you're much, much larger. So that's the other benefit of having the community, because we're aggregating all of that, and so that we can access things together that nobody could access individually. Yeah.
Is it okay to ask how many travel agencies have working with you? I'm just curious.
We have, I think right now it's about 217 agencies is the last I looked, but that's more like almost 360 advisors, because some of them have teams, so that's more than one per agency.
That's a nice amount of companies.
Yeah.
And
we're actually very exclusive. And so we get hundreds and hundreds of applications every day, but we're looking for people who are really the right fit for the community, because, it's a professional organization of people who are serious about their businesses and do want to collaborate and, see the value in that. And so it's important to make sure that not everybody's going to be a good match for us and vice versa.
But I think that's normal in any business, any mentoring, in any organization. You need to find the people that fit, so that way you can continue that feeling and that camaraderie that you have.
Yes, absolutely.
It makes complete sense to me. Are you guys only in the United States or other places as well?
We are only in the United States.
Okay, that's good. Just in case anybody's listening and they're interested in learning
more.
Well,
we actually have some people who aren't currently living in the United States. They just need to be eligible to work in the United States and have a US dollar bank account in the United States, so that we can work with them that way. But, the beauty of this business is that you can do it from anywhere that there's an internet connection. So we do have people who live overseas currently, and they run their businesses from overseas.
So last question, before we tell everybody how they can learn more about you and how to get a hold of you. Does your company have availability now? If anybody listening or watching has a travel agency and they want to learn more about working with you, or do you not have open enrollment right now? Is there somewhere they could apply? Something like that?
Yes, absolutely. So our website is www.giftedtravelnetwork.com. It's pretty simple, and there's all our information in there about our training program and everything. And actually we do 4 cohorts a year for our new to the industry training program, and we have one that's coming that's starting in April. So it's actually a good time to start an exploratory conversation with us if they're interested in starting a travel business. And if they have an existing travel business, it's a rolling admission sort of a thing.
Correct. Yeah, obviously newer ones just starting is going to be way different than someone that's already.
Yeah, because we want to bring them in sort of as a class, and they're small classes.
Yeah.
But that way they're going through the same things at the same time, and they can really have that sort of connection.
I love it. Well, I thank you so much for sharing all of that. I love doing these interviews. Aside from spotlighting women that are doing amazing things in their business, I myself get to learn so much.
Yeah.
If somebody says, "Oh, Galid, I have a travel agency and I don't know what to do," I'm like, "Oh, you got to call Jen." I'm already thinking of somebody in my head I need to message your website to. So thank you for sharing all that. Aside from the website, is there any other way that they should be getting a hold of you, connecting with you on social media? Anything else we should share?
We are on all the social media channels, of course, Instagram, LinkedIn, etc. So if you just look for Gifted Travel Network, of course, will come up. And I did put together some little tips, so we can post the link for that, just in case it's useful to anybody.
Yes. So we'll be posting a link to some tips that you can grab complimentary. So you guys can grab that. And for those of you that are listening, we'll make sure to put the link in the description of the podcast. So we'll absolutely share that with everybody so they can grab it and learn a little bit more. Jen, thank you so much for your time and all of your expertise. And thank you for all you're doing. Yeah, but thank you for all you're doing to help businesses and show them the way to success. I think it's such a great opportunity when we're successful to share with others. And I just think it's
like you're doing. It's amazing.
Oh, thank you, Jen. Thank you so much for being a part of the show today. I appreciate you being here. And thank you to everybody that's listening and watching another episode of the Successful Women's TV show. My name is Galit Ventura Rosen, and I will see you next time. Bye.